Let me tell you, the Saturday it all went down at Fairgrove Market. Nobody in Cedar Falls was expecting anything wild. That's just not the kind of place it is. We're talking bored families squeezing peaches, old-timers arguing over oatmeal cookies, the checkout aisles humming with small talk. But then all at once you get a voice, sharp, loud, tearing right through that summer afternoon. Hey, you seriously just gonna act like that didn't happen? And everyone looks up because around here, shouting isn't normal, especially not from a kid like Tyler Hensley. Now, Tyler's 17, all skinny limbs and teenage attitude, wearing his ball cap backward like he's gunning for a spot in a low-budget movie. He's not the kind of trouble you worry about, at least not on the surface, more bark than bite usually. But that day, he marched up to a man in line at the self-checkout. A man he didn't recognize, didn't bother to, and pointed his finger like he was laying down the law. You cut in front of like 3 people, my mom's in line. That's our turn. You need to hand those over. You could feel the whole room go tense. The man, mid-40s, dark jeans, quiet eyes, just looked at him confused but calm, like he'd seen worse 100 times. I didn't cut anyone, the man said, voice even. No anger, no defensiveness. There wasn't a line. I checked with the employee before starting. Tyler scoffed, ramped up, and before you knew it, he was right in the guy's face, demanding he turn over his groceries or he'd call security. People started filming, you know how it goes, and just like that, the normal Saturday was over. What Tyler didn't know, what made all the difference, was that the man he'd chosen to go after was Commander Terrence Morrow, head of Cedar Falls Police. The moment someone whispered his name, "Wait, isn't that Commander Morrow?" The energy changed. You could almost hear everyone holding their breath. Morrow didn't flex, didn't reach for his badge. He just looked Tyler in the eye and said, "Think before you act, son, especially when you think no one's watching." Then he walked right out into the July heat, calm as can be, while Tyler just stood there confused and red-faced, with everyone staring holes through him. But here's the thing, Tyler wasn't a bad kid, not really. He was just Tyler. And if you'd lived in town long enough, you'd know his story almost by heart. His mom, Karen Hensley, PTA president, queen of the complaint email, always fighting for her boy. If Tyler got in trouble, it was someone else's fault. If a teacher marked him down, she was at the principal's office the next morning. That's how Tyler learned the rules didn't apply. If you made enough noise, and if they did well, Karen would fix it. So when Tyler texted her some guy cut refusing to move, she came flying in, ready to blow the roof off that market. But what neither of them knew was that the whole thing was already halfway to going viral. By the time Karen stormed in, eyes flashing, demanding to know who dared mess with her son, the video was bouncing around Facebook group chats, you name it. There was Tyler yelling, pointing, making demands. There was Commander Morrow, cool, collected, refusing to bite. You couldn't spin it, not really. It just was what it was. And the town, well, Cedar Falls hadn't seen this kind of drama in a long while. Some people tried to defend Tyler. He's just a kid, probably thought the guy was being rude. But others weren't having it, especially not folks who'd watched him grow up, watched Karen turn every inconvenience into a crusade. More than a few people pointed out that the real problem wasn't Tyler yelling, it was who he'd chosen to yell at and why. You could feel something bigger under the surface, a question that nobody wanted to say out loud. But everybody was thinking, would this have happened if the man at checkout didn't look the way he did? The twist. The story wasn't just about Tyler and Morrow. It was about the whole town, about assumptions, about privilege, about how quick people are to judge or defend, depending on who's standing in front of them. A retired firefighter who knew Morrow stood up for him. People who'd been at the store started posting eyewitness accounts, and pretty soon every version of the story was getting told. Karen, usually the first to wade into Facebook fights, stayed suspiciously quiet. Maybe she was waiting for things to blow over. Maybe she was hoping to flip the narrative. But then someone unearthed an old comment she'd made about suspicious men in the neighborhood, One of those comments that in the light of this new story didn't look so innocent anymore. And just like that, the Hensleys weren't just dealing with an embarrassing moment at the grocery store. Tyler's school suspended him for causing a disruption. A summer leadership program quietly dropped his name, and Karen's phone calls stopped being answered. It all happened fast. One day, you're the loudest voice in the room, and the next, nobody wants to stand next to you. Even Tyler's friends stepped back. Teachers gave him sideways looks, and for the first time, it seemed like the old rules didn't work. Meanwhile, Commander Morrow kept his cool. No big interviews, no press tour. Just a quiet press conference where he said, sometimes the best way to respond to ignorance is by letting it speak for itself. It hit harder than any lecture could have. Kids listened. Parents listened. Even people who'd never thought about bias or dignity or what it means to stand your ground without raising your voice. They listened too. But the part that still sticks with me, is the little stuff. Tyler, for the first time, got quiet, stopped blaming, applied for a job at the same grocery store, got it, and started showing up every weekend, stocking shelves, bagging groceries, doing the work nobody notices. Karen, the unstoppable force, stepped back from the PTA, stopped commenting online, let things settle for once. It wasn't a perfect ending, not by a mile, but something shifted for real. A couple weeks after it all blew up, Tyler got a message through a counselor. Commander Morrow would talk to him, just the two of them. No uniforms, no audience. Tyler went no more drama, no more yelling, just a quiet room, and the weight of what he'd done. He apologized for real, and Morrow told him that's just the first step. If the only time you stay in control is when it's convenient, you'll keep repeating this moment. And Tyler listened. You could see it in his eyes. He wasn't fixed, but he was thinking, and that's more than most people get. And as for Cedar Falls, it didn't become some headline-grabbing national scandal, but it left a mark, a real one. Teachers started talking more openly about bias. The grocery store ran a forum on respect, and for a while people thought a little harder before judging the person next to them in line. Sometimes that's all you can ask for in a small town, not a revolution, just a little more listening, a little more humility. Now, if you ask me who was right, who was wrong, maybe it's not so simple. Maybe it's not about a single mistake, but the patterns that led up to it and what you do after. So I'll leave it there, you tell me. Does it feel like justice or just another small town learning the hard way? Because sometimes the most important stories are the ones that make us look at ourselves. What do you think, is that accountability or just another day in Cedar Falls? Share your take. The town's still listening.
Xin chào các bạn, mình là Trinh, mình phụ trách viết content. Trên đây là những công việc của mình, là mình lên mạng xã hội tìm hiểu những video.
Next one? Alright. Thank you, man. Hey, if you guys have any trouble, let somebody know. Please.
After the tree to hold on to. Yeah.
Yeah,
Use the fence.